It's safe to say Guy Ritchie does not have a bad movie or thing.
No.
At this point. Just banger after banger, really.
You think so?
You could argue that Lock, Stock is better than Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first movie.
He, in my opinion, can't miss. He makes bangers. That's all I'm here to say. And does the streak continue with his latest here, Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
And this isn't your first Guy Ritchie.
Oh, this is probably my first Guy Ritchie.
Sounds like it's going to be his last. I could tell already.
Gus March Phillips, I have a mission I want you to lead. Thank you, Sergeant.
What's the plan?
To neutralize the German U-boats in the North Atlantic.
This was a solid movie. It definitely was not a banger whatsoever. I could not even focus on this movie. I don't know. It was kind of just a little boring. Or maybe just the standard action movie just doesn't really do it for me anymore. There wasn't anything spectacular about this.
That's fair.
It was just an action Nazi killing. This was just kind of, okay. It was all right.
In typical Guy Ritchie fashion, we got a huge ensemble cast. We got Henry Cavill as Gus March Phillips, Alan Ritchson, who, by the way, dwarfs Henry Cavill. And Henry Cavill's a big dude. This Alan Ritchson guy, he is a freak of nature. He is tremendous. There's a lot of people in this movie. This is actually very loosely based on a true story. In the film, the British military recruits a small group of highly skilled soldiers to strike against German forces behind enemy lines during World War II.
It was one of the first Black Ops type missions per se, because he knew he would go away if they got caught.
This event was actually inspired by a real thing, a real mission called Operation Postmaster, which was only recently exposed by a book about Winston Churchill's, I guess, stories of this thing. It's a 2014 book. It's called Churchill's Secret Warriors, The Explosive True Story of the Special Forces Desperados of World War II. It was written by a guy named Damian Lewis. That's supposedly a more faithful telling of the real life Operation Postmaster during World War II. And from what I've read, the story of the film is pretty accurate in terms of the events that took place. It's the characters and how they acted and stuff that he took liberties with. Some people were melded together for sure. Yeah. But Guy Ritchie loves a good shoot 'em up, and this movie's no exception. I don't disagree with Marvin. I think I don't know if this is one of his better movies. It's great. Great's a stretch. It's good. I enjoyed it, but there's not much there outside of just some mindless shoot 'em up stuff. I think one of the key features of a Guy Ritchie movie is that they're usually very funny. I didn't really find this movie that funny, to be honest. Guy Ritchie's movies have a banter. There's a charm to British comedy, and it's all in the banter and the dryness of it. This movie didn't really have that to me. The comedy elements of this movie was just the fact that this group of guys were super casual about the thing that they were doing. Yeah. That wasn't casual at all. They were on this super top secret fucking shoot 'em up all or nothing mission, and they're very casual about it and very casual about how they go about it and killing all the people that they killed, which I didn't really find that funny. I don't know. I didn't really laugh through it. So I get what you're saying. I struggled to keep my attention through a lot of it as well, but I think I overall mostly enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it more than you guys, I guess. I thought it was hilarious. There's a scene in the movie where Henry is running around killing people, and he's he kind of felt funny. And I just I don't know, I pick up some of that stuff. His carelessness and just killing people and having fun with it I thought it was hilarious. He didn't give a fuck. I enjoyed the levity of, this is some serious shit and everybody could die and we can get, tortured or whatever. But let's bring some levity to it. Let's have some fun with it.
That's what I actually did like about it. I don't really like war movies, really, American war movies, because they're always the same, American exceptionalist bullshit, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, there are war movies that I do like, but I feel I'm kind of over it. I think going forward, I would prefer a movie like this because it is a war movie. It's more of a fun, sort of lighthearted take on a real event, rather than there's a place for a super straightforward, almost biopic sort of Black Hawk Down or even the show Band of Brothers or whatever. There's something to be said about those, but I think I would prefer something like this going forward.
Yeah, this is more lighthearted and fun and mindless.
And it's about something I had no idea about. I never heard of Operation Postmaster until this movie. It was effective in that, like, I was like, wow, this is a piece of history that I never knew about.
I can get Marvin's complaint though. Like, I can see how like losing a little bit of interest. There was some stuff, and this is maybe the Guy Ritchie does it a little bit too much. The setup for things, seeing all the soldiers, talking about the soldiers going to the party, then seeing the soldiers going to the party, then seeing the soldiers at the party, and watching them lock the door of the soldiers in the party, and then watching the soldiers try to get out. He does that a lot. And like, you know, you could have, it didn't need to be 2 hours. It just could have been a fun 1.5 hour movie. There was a lot of stuff in there that could have maybe kept the pace going so it didn't feel like a drag.
I like the cast.
Cast was great.
I think it was well acted. I guess I wish it was maybe, like Dan said, maybe written a little better with some funnier dialogue. The comedy was basically like Henry Cavill calling people like old boy and like some nicely timed explosions and shit like that. Like, but it wasn't anything really funny outside of that.
Henry Cavill's a good actor. This poor guy, man, he just gets the shit end of the stick, and all he wants to do is make his favorite things. Superman got fucked. Witcher got fucked. This really felt like, to me, was like sort of an audition, I feel like, of a Guy Ritchie James Bond movie, if I'm being honest. The character that Henry Cavill was playing, Gus March Phillips, allegedly was the inspiration for the character of James Bond. So I don't think there's any argument to be made that, like, Henry Cavill couldn't play a good Bond. I think he would be a great James Bond.
Oh, absolutely you would, yeah. Well, I mean,
I think so too.
Age is starting to become a concern.
I thought it was interesting that, like, an actor who would kill a James Bond role got to play the guy who inspired James Bond. And honestly, I think a Guy Ritchie James Bond movie could be good. Like, because James Bond films are usually like dead serious action movies, but like, why couldn't we have like a more like comedy? I can see action movie with Bond, like change it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
When you go back to the old James Bond, there's plenty of comedy and wit in those old Roger Moore and.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. It was good. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I'll probably never watch it again. I don't think it's in the pantheon of like great Guy Ritchie movies.
It just should have been funnier. If the action wasn't going to be good, it should have been funny. One issue I did have with, I guess, probably like every character, like they were all just like untouchable. Every enemy they came across just died. There was no resistance whatsoever. They never really had an obstacle. It was just, they're all just Avengers. There's no stakes. There's no tension, really. It's like...
I agree. I did care about the characters towards the end, though. I didn't want them to die. And not knowing the story, I agree. I didn't know what would happen. So that was kind of neat. But yeah, I just think it was like more of a cartoonish way to showcase this stuff. And also, I think you could kind of take it as, this is just me like speculating, but like an operation like this that was only recently declassified to the public, like this is like the visual representation of the game of telephone that people would say. It's like, oh, did you hear about that mission that happened where like 4 guys went up against like 800 people? Like,
right.
This is almost sort of like that in a way.
It's told in the way of like how you would read a story on the back of a cereal box on Saturday morning. And like, it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool, but it's also kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like to me.
Overall, I don't think the movie was bad. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Could it have been funnier? Yes. I do agree with Marvin. The plot armor of the characters and stuff wasn't outwardly funny. Like the heist wasn't super interesting because they were going to blow up a boat. And then all of a sudden it's like, we got to steal it. And then it was like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I totally relate. Like they spend an hour getting to the mission and then they basically spend an hour doing the mission.
Right.
And it's like, all right, we could have trimmed this down. Yeah, definitely worth a watch. Definitely not Guy Ritchie's best, but definitely also, I don't think his worst. But that's because I haven't watched Aladdin. So
Aladdin's better than this. It is. It just is. But yeah, so it's got a 6.9 on IMDb. I would probably drop that down. I would probably give it like a 6.
Yeah, I'm right there. 6 for me.
I'll give it a 7. I liked it. I watched it twice, and it was funny both times.
That's fair.
But like I said, I'm a Guy Ritchie fan, so
I am too. That does not excuse you. Not everything has to be perfect. Sometimes you could just turn your brain off and watch some shit.
Yeah, it's a fun action popcorn flick. That's all it really is.
Yeah, totally.